From the Campione Law Studios, located in the heart of Duval County, Florida. This is the unofficial Jacksonville Jaguars podcast. Your host, Seth Studer. Whew. 8 in a row. 8 in a row. Playoffs, baby. Playoffs. Woo, woo, woo. Whoa, 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 whoa. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 11th episode of the unofficial Jacksonville Jaguars podcast. My name is Seth Studer. We did it. We finally made it. The playoffs are here. The Jaguars have ridden this insane magic carpet ride, winning their last, 8 games? While the Houston Texans are on a 9-game winning streak, and we clinch the AFC South. How tough must it be for the Houston fans right now to know that you're winning every game and you need the Jaguars to stumble once, only one time, and you win? But we did not give them that opportunity. We gave them an opportunity by letting them come back 19 points on us. But, man, what a bounce back. What a bounce back. Since I last saw y'all, we had finished the regular season in style. And now we are the number 3 seed, hosting Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills here this Sunday. Last 2 games were kind of interesting, I thought. You had the game against the now Phil Rivers-led Colts and a victory 23-17. And then just yesterday, at home, it was like a coronation, right? A celebration of the season when we stomped the hated Titans 41-7. Ladies and gentlemen, before I get rolling, I'd like to thank Campione Law, my employer, for help putting on this podcast. Remember, bad things happen to good people all the time. Something bad happens to you, give us a call. We'd be happy to help you out. But man, talk about finishing hot. Man. But in the Indianapolis game, Jaguars faced a little adversity. You know, do a hook and ladder like your Boise State. You know, Travis Etienne dropping the ball. Trevor Lawrence throwing an interception to a linebacker who was one-on-one on Parker Washington. That linebacker, what a play. He ran the route better than Parker Washington did. But red zone turnover, and the Jaguars, 10-0, go into the half, 10-7. But this is, it's a new team. It's a new Jaguars. Because old Jaguars, I would have been freaking out as soon as, we're down double digits. Not this year. Not this team. I just kind of was like, okay, we're playing great. Keep playing. Keep playing your brand of ball, Liam Cohen. Keep playing your brand of ball, Trevor Lawrence. Keep playing your brand of ball, Devin Lloyd. Keep playing your brand of ball, Parker Washington. And he was tied pretty deep into the fourth quarter. Liam Cohen went for it, tied, I think, at the 30-yard line on 4th and 1. Didn't get it. Still, I was like reasonably confident, maybe even irrationally confident that we would win this game. And what a night and day difference as a Jaguars fan to feel like that. When was the last time you felt that way about the Jaguars? I can't remember. I honestly can't. And so they pull it off 23-17 at Indianapolis. retiring Phillip Rivers. I mean, Trevor Lawrence doing it on the ground, using his legs, rushing in for 2 touchdowns. You know, and over this winning streak, these last 8 games, I think Trevor's accounted for 19 touchdowns through the air and 5 over the ground in this 8-game span. The only other 2 players to have done that over an 8-game span, right? Cam Newton and Lamar Jackson, both of which happened during their MVP seasons. That's how en fuego Trevor Lawrence has been playing. And even with a less than perfect game against Indianapolis, then he comes out and balls against Tennessee. Absolutely balls against Tennessee. I think just every throw seemed like he was just on it. And that was my second game this year. And the run game even hasn't been there recently. And we've been depending on Trevor Lawrence, and they got pressure on him, at the beginning of that game. And I think we went 3 and out, and they scored a touchdown. Poor Cam Ward, got an AC joint sprain. But goodness gracious, Trevor Lawrence delivered 22 of 30, 255, 3 touchdowns. Just, and it's against the Titans. But, I mean, they had a good defense. They were getting pressure on them. Didn't matter. I think we got a little lucky there with Cam Ward, diving there and running it in for that end zone, hurting his shoulder, because that backup looked overwhelmed. Poor Brandon Allen, former Jaguar. I think he was a 6th-round pick out of Arkansas. But goodness gracious. Well, cool. Guess what? Usually, in other seasons, I'd be going, hey, Jaguars didn't make the playoffs, but here's what went great. Here's what went wrong. Better luck next year. Let's look forward to the draft. We won free agency. Not this year. This year, we have turned around a team that went 4-13 into a team that went 13-4. Liam Cohen, I salute you. Wow. What a job he has done. And what a team that has executed Liam Cohen's plans. So, playoffs? Yeah, playoffs. Against the Bills. Now, I'll be honest. That's not who I wanted to see first round, but I'm excited. I'm excited for this game. And you can feel here in Duval County the buzz, right? Oh, shoot. And I didn't even mention Cam Little. They turn it over on downs with a second or so to go. Liam Cohen's like, okay, Cam, bring out the howitzer. 67-yard field goal to end the half. What a weapon. You can do it from 68 indoors, 67 outdoors. Yeah, he did it from 70 once too. What an insane season and what an insane ride. And so we have arrived at the playoffs. And vibes are good. The aura, whatever of those weird terms you want to use, there is through the roof. I mean, you saw them, I think Jerry and Jones, giving Trevor Lawrence a custom grill so he can look like that AI meme. And I saw a tweet. It was Jags social media, went to the family dentist and through his wife, they were able to make that a custom grill and present it to him. How cool. How cool is this team? But we still got some dismissers out there, right? we still got some slights against us. Talk about chips on your shoulder, right? Let me tell you a couple of things that's happened in recent weeks. Number one, Buffalo playing in Duval County opens as 1.5 underdogs to the Jaguars. Number two, Pro Bowl. The Jaguars had a player make the Pro Bowl. It was a long snapper. The Tennessee Titans, 3-14, had two. Point number three. Fred Taylor, in spite of his insane career numbers and achievements and consistency, did not make the Pro Football Hall of Fame finalists. And what do these things have to do with each other? You know? Because when I watch this Jaguars team, I in my mind, right, it's not vibes and aura. It comes down to the 3 C's: coaching, confidence, and chips on their shoulder. These are not, it's not slogan. These are forces that is acting in the locker room right now. They're well coached, so well coached in a way that's not begging for attention. They're dismissing. Again, they got that edge. They're confident in a way that just doesn't need your permission or anyone's permission. They're carrying a chip that no amount of praise can remove. And that's why what's happening here nationally is so fascinating to me, right? What did Liam Cohen say? The respect ain't coming. It ain't. If it was, why was the long snapper the only Pro Bowler? Not Cam Little, double record-setting Cam Little. Devin Lloyd, linebacker with 5 interceptions all over the field. Trevor Lawrence playing at MVP levels. You know, and they give us lip service. They keep telling us, hey, the Jaguars are finally getting their respect. You know, I got to hand it to them. You know, the people are waiting up. The Jaguars are going to be a tough out in the playoffs. But when you look at what actually matters, Pro Bowls, I mean, people's salaries depend on that, right? They get bonuses if you make them. Fred Taylor, no gold jacket. We're opening up as underdogs to a very schizophrenic Bills team. More on that later. The respect, it's not coming. Cohen's right. You see it in the votes, you see it in the odds, you see it in the assumptions. You know, I told you all last episode about, you know, the stink that Jacksonville and Jaguars, by just being the Jaguars, has to just bear and wash off. But here is the real lesson. And this is not directed to the Jaguars fan. This is directed at everyone else. It is Duval versus all y'all. And this is a statement for all y'all. You fools. You fools. This is the number 1 defense, rushing defense in the NFL. This is a team that has their average margin of victory during an 8-game winning streak has been, 19? Points after points after points after points. Doesn't matter if you turn it over in the red zone twice. Points. This isn't about football. It's about narrative gravity. The Bills have plenty of narrative gravity. Jaguars don't. The Bills' gravity is attached to one name, Josh Allen. Not Josh Hines Allen. Josh Allen's a great quarterback. Amazing quarterback. But nationally, he's like a belief system. You hear it in the pundits. if Josh Allen is not going to do it this year, when? Right? That says more about your psychology than it does about the team that he's playing and currently favored to beat. We are the hottest team in the NFL. In second place is the Texans, who frankly almost lost to Riley Leonard. But the 3 C's, coaching, confidence, and chips on their shoulder. And you see Cohen and how his coaching has been keeping them steady, right? That's how they're able to withstand these, these slights, these turnovers, especially in that Indy game, right? They have this confidence that's just keeping them composed. I mean, you've never seen Trevor this confident. There's a reason for that. And that chip on the shoulder, it is sharper than a katana. And it will not dull. It can't dull. Again, you fools. You fools only selected one Jaguar as a Pro Bowler. You fools are opening him up as a 1.5 underdog. Do you think they need any more bulletin board material? No. No. It's a fait accompli. It's already finished. The Jaguars have the confidence, the swagger, the chip, the coaching, the schemes already to fuel them through this entire playoff run. If the Jaguars had a Super Bowl that Fred Taylor didn't even win in their past, you think he'd be a finalist this year? I do. Every time you, and I'm back to y'all, every time you say, we respect Jacksonville now, they've gotten our attention. And then you kind of act, like you're still kind of waiting to be convinced, giving us a lip service. That chip don't go away, man. And that's dangerous to a hungry team in January playing the hottest football on earth. Man, make them the underdog. Keep calling it respect while kind of treating it like disbelief, like a fluke that's eventually going to correct itself. And so you can do that. Just don't be surprised when a well-coached team, confident, operating on both sides of the ball, and carrying a really big chip on their shoulder, makes it all the way. All the way. You fools. One of my favorite tweets, I think it was a former Grantland employee, Roger Sherman. Let's see, December 29th, 2021. Roger Sherman said, the number one fan base in American sports you need to avoid pissing off is the Jacksonville Jaguars. They deeply love something which has never brought them joy. Nothing you say can hurt them any more than rooting for the Jaguars already hurts them. They are immensely powerful. Yeah, you fools. So, on one hand, there's that pomp and that circumstance and that and the swagger, right? However, I haven't been completely honest with you guys. And I want to be honest about it here. For the first time in forever, to sound like I'm singing Frozen, I'm not scared because the Jaguars are bad. I'm scared because they're so good. And against the Bills especially, I'm scared for this game. And I don't say that lightly because as a Jaguars fan, fear My fear has come from expecting disaster, right? Just blowouts. And this is very, very different. I'm uncomfortable right now here in my chair. For the first time in a long time, I'm scared that we'll lose. Not because we probably will. I don't think we will. I think we will beat Buffalo and Jacksonville. But that distinction, I said, that fear, what does that mean? Because, I was 11 years old during the 1999 season, right? We went 14-2, lost to the Titans, only team to beat us twice in the regular season and then the AFC Championship game. Maybe I got scared then to lose. I don't remember. But since, even when and that's the weird thing about being a fan of what I believe is a truly good team. The better they get, kind of the more nerve-wracking the playoffs become. Because it's not like, hey, we're stacking wins. No, you lose once, you're out. It's over. This fever dream evaporates like that. You get one game, who knows? One bad break, one weird turnover, one weird bounce, 1 yard short, one mistake, and it can be over. And when you know, like I know, like you know, that this team is capable of winning a Super Bowl, it hits different, right? Let's talk about some recent Jaguars teams. Compare this feeling, this kind of fear, unease, to other recent playoff runs. Let's go to 2022. We're playing with house money. Going into that, we had comeback victories against the Cowboys, the Ravens. We won 7 of our last 8 to force a win and end game against the Titans, who were playing Josh Dobbs. Barely squeaked that one out. Even then, it felt like house money. Then it got better. After Trevor the arsonist kind of helped us put in a 27-0 hole, man, one of the greatest comebacks of all time happened. And we win 31-30. People don't remember how excellent. Do you know how hard it is to come back by that much when the Chargers do not turn the ball over? House money. Oh, shoot, we won. And then you go into Arrowhead and you play pretty well. It's some tough bounces, but you lose, and okay. I wasn't scared of losing. You weren't either. Another example, 2017, the vaunted Jacksonville year, right? That's different than this too, at least to me. That defense was incredible. Jalen Ramsey, A.J. Bouye. They're on the line with Calais Campbell, right? Yannick Ngakoue, Miles Jack. Barry Church. But that offense, while sometimes explosive, we kind of knew and felt that there was a ceiling. Blake Bortles, as much as I love that guy, we kind of knew that it was not likely that we were going to win the chip, the Lombardi. And we just kept winning. And we were one Miles Jack wasn't down play from winning it. But it felt fluky to us at the time. That's different. This team doesn't feel borrowed. This team feels complete with the necessary tools to win the whole thing. And that's what scares me. There's no obvious, but with this team and how it's played for the last 8 games, half of a season. There's been some not great ones. I'm looking at you, Arizona, right? But there's no glaring weaknesses. Glaring weaknesses. We're not a perfect team. But there's nothing that says that this team doesn't have what it takes. They're balanced. They're well coached. They're mentally steady. Vibes and aura are good. They don't rely on miracles. They're being belt to ass over most of their opponents, including the team that got the 1 seed at the 1 seed stadium. So when a team like that loses, you can't explain it easily away, right? You can't. I can't just say like 2022, and we're just happy to be here. But you also can't automatically say we'll be back. Arnold Schwarzenegger style. Tomorrow's not granted. Next season's not granted. Right? The NFL doesn't work like that. Look at the Lions. I think what Dan Campbell, coach of the Lions, said after their NFC Championship loss, brutal one, really resonated when he just because you can't count on being here again, right? Windows close, contracts change, injuries happen, schedules get harder. You can do everything right, and the pieces just don't line up the same way again. And that's the people don't talk about, right? I'm trying to say the quiet part out loud. So when your team and these Jaguars, when you're legitimately good, the specter and the possibility of a loss hangs a little harder. It's kind of weird how that works. So did you survive? And did you win the playoff game? That's it. That's the only thing that matters. If the answer is no, the rest disappears. See you next season. Time to go back trying to be win the draft. So I'm a little afraid, but not because I believe in this team. It's not because I don't believe in this team. I'm getting a little scared because I do believe in this team. But here's the truth. That fear is kind of the price of admission for greatness. And unless your team is actually complete and capable of something real, you don't get it, right? You don't get that fear by being fluky. You don't get that fear by thinking that you're playing with house money. So let's go. Let's go. As a fan, I could be scared, but I know this team ain't. It's just kind of weird how that fandom stuff works, right? Because as the tweet said, we are immensely powerful and nothing you can say hurts us. And that's true. I'll feel disrespected, you fools. I'll try to learn you something. You done fucked up now. But, it's just kind of just settling in how much this team can accomplish. And so let's look ahead. Do a little X's and O's, Jimmy's and Joe's about this weekend's wild card matchup. Super wild card weekend matchup. I think we got Tony Romo there on the call. That'll be awesome. Listen to him talk about Josh Allen. And so you got the Bills, the Buffalo Bills, who have actually kind of remind me of the Jaguars from earlier this season and the early part of the season, and even like the mid part when they were just kind of so schizophrenic, right? Lately they squeak by the Browns. They go 1-1 against the Patriots. They lose to the Eagles in a very weird throw that Josh Allen just doesn't miss. And Josh Allen, again, kind of that's the only reason they're favored is because of, I guess, his name, even though we have a guy with the same name. But their rushing game is really good with James Cook. And our rushing defense has not allowed a rusher to gain over 71 yards on the ground, something like that. We're the number one rush defense, strength against strength. Josh Allen's been forced to do it all, and you just kind of look at the games that they played, and they're a good team. They are a good team. Just please, I'm not underestimating them. They are a really, really good team because of Josh Allen and because of the way that he can elevate the players around him. And their defense has been kind of the bugaboo this year. You had that wild first week game against the Ravens, right? They came back and won. And they've allowed a lot of points. They lost to the Giants. No, sorry, that was preseason. No, it didn't. I'm sorry. That's what I get for using Google. No, lost to the Ravens. Sorry, beat the Ravens 41-40, first game of the year. And then they play a lot of people close, lose to the Falcons. Falcons are an odd one. And then that's the thing about the Bills that scares me, is that when it all comes together, right? When they are firing on all cylinders, when that defense, especially the rush defense, is in tune, and the passing offense and the rushing offense is in tune, man, they can just explode. And that's why you got 40-9 over the Panthers, right? Routinely putting 26-7 over the Steelers. And then they kind of have these kind of things where it's just a shootout, and their defense can't stop a nosebleed. I know. There was a good battle against him and Joe Burrow, right? 39-34. Came back, and they can come back. That's the thing. You can't. It's like the horror movie. And are they dead? 21 points. A lead. They came back against the Patriots, and it really didn't feel that shocking. So they are a scary team. But how do they match up, right? What are the keys for success? I think that it's going to come down to two things, really. I think it's going to come down to rushing on both sides of the ball. And I already kind of spoke about how awesome James Cook and their rushing attack is. And if we can limit that and limit Josh Allen from just putting on that Superman cape and fly towards the ball, because the Jaguars at all three levels have been playing disciplined football. They've been mixing up their coverages. I think they're going to be giving Buffalo a lot to think about when they have the ball. And if you stop that run and force it, throws to, you get Shakir. I think Gabe Davis is playing. I know Dawson Knox. Poor Dalton Kincaid, I think's out. Make them one-dimensional passing offense, right? If you're able to shut down the run, I think you can shut them down and limit Josh Allen's potential Superman effects, right? Because for every Josh Allen game on that side, we got the one where they lost to the Texans, right? And the one that lost to the Falcons. And that crazy, ugly 1-point loss against the Eagles. So, and it's the unpredictability of which Bills team that you're going to get, which heightens that fear that I was talking about earlier. And let's talk about the other side of the ball. Jaguars have been doing an excellent job. I've been glazing them for their offensive explosion and Trevor Lawrence, Jacoby Myers, Parker Washington, But the run game really hasn't been there. They've been making a concerted effort to run the ball, but the success rate has plummeted here in recent weeks. Now, is that because the defenses game plan is to stop the run, just like, we need to try to stop the run of the Bills? Or is it, just because they're just not getting a lot of push up front? Cole Van Lannon, congratulations to him, by the way, has played spectacular. And you got Walker Little there at guard, playing right guard right now. And the rush offense of the Jaguars is going to needs to show up, because that's the main deficit of the Bills defense, right? Is their rushing defense. And Cohen has done a good job kind of scheming, kind of those toss plays sometimes, but they've been getting bottled up a little too often. And so I think that a commitment, more than a commitment to the run, because let's do the hypothetical. Let's say that they're bottling it up. Then Jacksonville has to pivot to what's been carrying them, and that's just air attack, right? So I think you have to scheme up some different runs, some different looks. I'm confident that Liam Cohen's bag, like C.J. McCollum's bag, like Chris Paul's bag, is deep. And he dialed some stuff up. You saw him try to dial up that hook and ladder play. I thought it was a great play call. Travis Etienne should never have dropped that thing. But I think that, and that's kind of why I am reasonably confident that we will win this game, is because Jacksonville does have options. The Jaguar, we have options on how to beat you. And one thing that I heard the Bills media talked about, but not any other media just yet, is special teams. Matt Prater, I think their initial kicker, I'm trying to remember his name, went out early. They've had like 42-year-old Matt Prater here, and he had an injury, and he re-aggravated that injury here in this last game against the Jets. And I think they're looking for a kicker as we speak. I don't know who it is. I don't know who it's going to be. So that's a positive for the Jaguars. Compared to a kicker who can kick it from 67 yards and hit net. And a kicker who has not missed since when? One miss against maybe the Raiders? I know he missed against the Seahawks, but it's been a long time. And a punter in Logan Cook, and a punt returner, and new Jaguars legend Parker Washington, leading receiver on the team, I believe, right now. I think this game's going to come down. I mean, I think we have such a big advantage on that special teams, because when you have a new kicker, it's playing Russian roulette on that for 3 points, 3 crucial points. So, and the other thing that I thought about the importance of this game, on one hand, I didn't want to see the Bills. I would have rather seen the Chargers or the Texans personally. On the other hand, if we win this game, who's stopping us? Denver could, but they would have to play a lot better than they did last time. New England could, but Drake May will have to play like a superhero, like they're purporting Josh Allen to be, and their defense is going to have to play a lot better. The Texans could, but I'm scared of the Bills more than the Texans currently. So it seems like I heard someone on the Athletic football show kind of define this as like comparing it to like an esports game. And I think he said something like, Jags Bills reminds him of like the quarterfinal where everyone goes, oh, this is the real final. This is the real AFC final is in this, first game. And I kind of buy into that a little bit. Now, it's ridiculous on one hand because any given Sunday and everything I said before. But you slay this dragon, right? You defeat Josh Allen. I think they got enough confidence as it is, but that's got to go even higher. So we will see. My official prediction is going to be a high-scoring affair. And I think we win 38-30. 38-30. That's what I say here. So I will be on here next week. Come what may, win, lose, you still get Seth Studer giving you some news. So we're going to be back here in just a second, and we're going to close with our Claws of History. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Unofficial Jacksonville Jaguars podcast. Once again, I'd like to thank Campione Law for helping me put this thing on, deliver you all some Jaguar musings. When bad things happen to good people, when you get hurt and you didn't ask for it, give us a call. We'd be happy to help you out. Ladies and gentlemen, my favorite segment, the Claws of History, is how we'll be ending, where we look back into the past and look for an example of something or someone that can help guide the Jaguars through this next week. And we're doing a throwback episode because we'll be going further in the past than we have before, all the way to the 2nd century AD. There's a moment in history where victory becomes more dangerous than defeat. We talked about that. Defeat humbles you. Victory tempts you. That's what playoff football is all about. And he didn't know about playoff football, but no one understood that concept of humbling defeat and tempting victory no more than the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius. He was the old guy at the beginning of the first Gladiator movie. Marcus Aurelius ruled Rome at its height. Unchallenged power. Unmatched prestige. Draped in purple. The color of emperors, of royalty. The color of certainty. But there is a fascinating, it's been made a book, and it's called Meditations. And it's a collection of the Roman emperors, Marcus Aurelius's private writings. And in Meditations, Marcus Aurelius warned himself in his diary constantly, don't be stained by the purple that he was wearing. Don't let success dull discipline. Don't believe applause and glazing means that the work's finished. Job's not done. Because Marcus Aurelius, he knew something history keeps proving and will prove in January football. Success can create illusion, and illusion can get punished. Right now, Duval, the Jacksonville Jaguars are wearing the purple, but they can't let themselves be stained by it. They just beat Tennessee at home, 41-7. They left Trevor Lawrence in the game long enough, even was well in hand for him to throw for 4,000 yards. The division is clinched. The stadium is euphoric. The city's buzzing. Vibes. are immaculate. And that's exactly when what's called stoicism, practiced and written about by Marcus Aurelius, matters the most. Not when things are hard, but when things feel easy. And just look closely at this winning streak, just a little bit. At home against Indianapolis, Daniel Jones tears his Achilles in the first quarter. The Jets show up, already mailed in, starting a undrafted rookie quarterback. And yesterday, Tennessee marched down the field on their first drive, making it 7-0. And when diving into the end zone, Cam Ward, who has been playing pretty good football recently, got a grade 3 AC joint in his shoulder. Resistance has appeared in some of these games briefly, and then it vanished. The Jaguars have done and are doing what great teams do. They're just dominating the schedule. They're in front of them. But Marcus Aurelius, if he was wearing teal in the starter jacket, would probably issue a warning here. Success that arrives without sustained resistance is the most dangerous kind, because it can trick you into thinking that you can control the game and that control is permanent. All of those rules go out of the window in the playoffs. And now here comes Buffalo, favored in Jacksonville. And the Bills this year, it's not the best Bills team, but they're so good. And then the opposite of neat. They've been volatile, inconsistent, chaotic at times. At times, careless with the football. And at times, brilliant. And when it clicks for Buffalo, when that chaos sharpens, they're the most dangerous teams in the league. Why? Because Josh Allen, credit to him, he doesn't test your talent. He tests your discipline, right? Tests the defensive line to not let him scramble. Because as soon as you go into man coverage, he might bolt. Josh Allen, he punishes hesitation. He feeds on emotional swings. He'll sometimes call and try to bait refs to throw a roughing the passer flag. He can turn loose moments into disasters, and he can turn loose moments into brilliance. And he does much more of the former. Sorry, the latter than the former. Buffalo's not a team that will collapse because the crowd is loud, right? It can be a team that can expose hubris and arrogance. And I don't think that the Jaguars are arrogant. But when you're winning the way you're winning, you might be without even realizing it. But here's the good news, and it matters. The Jaguars' defense are built for this test, I think. Second in the league in takeaways. Opportunistic, relentless, violent at the ball, disguising coverages. And over the last 6 games, the Jaguars' offense has protected the defense. And not just protected, just blown by it, right? It's easy to play defense when you're up, 20, 30 points. Very few turnovers in our winning streak. And those rare mistakes, kind of like that interception in Indianapolis, and that hook and ladder play, they've been fluky, So compare that to the beginning of the year, Jaguars, right? It's not luck, it's discipline that's been on here recently. Marcus Aurelius, because he believed that you had to be a mental fortress, right? I think he called it like an inner citadel. It's a place where you just remain calm, disciplined, and execute the task in front of you. Don't get high on your own supply. Know who you are. Be who you are. And this Jaguars team has proven something critical. They have not folded when things have gone wrong, right? They came back against Kansas City. They came back against Arizona. They came back against Las Vegas. Even in Indianapolis, you're down at halftime. Stuck with it, played disciplined football. And they carry a scar. This Jaguars team carries a scar. You know it is. I know it is. That blown 19-point lead to Houston. Since then, 8 straight wins. That loss, hopefully, has burned the illusion and arrogance out of this team. I think Marcus would have approved. Which brings us here. Home playoff game, dangerous opponent, elite quarterback, a defense, that's streaky. There's a temptation here to believe for the Jaguars that you are in control and that control is guaranteed. You do not control the game. You control the response. The Jaguars control their response to what happens on the field, right? If Buffalo strikes first and scores first, that's not failure. That's an obstacle that the Jaguars need to overcome and have done multiple times this season. The Jaguars, they're not, defending their record in the playoffs, right? They're not protecting vibes or auras or steezy Trev memes, right? They're not validating a season in the playoffs. They're there, just like Marcus Aurelius was most of his life, in the frontier on the Danube River. Cold, loud, unfinished. Job's not done. And history never rewarded teams that's confused dominance with entitlement. Jaguars, you're wearing the purple, but don't let it stain you. Ladies and gentlemen, that does it for this week's Claws of History and this week's unofficial Jacksonville Jaguar podcast. Remember, buy UM, uninsured motorist coverage. If you get in an accident and the jackass that hits you has little to no coverage, what's going to protect you? Buy UM. Protect yourself, man. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been a bi-weekly podcast, but making it bi-weekly would be podcasting malpractice in the during a playoff run. So I will be coming to you, come what may, after Sunday's game at home against the Bills. That's it for me, Seth Studer. See you next week. Go Jags.